Michaelmas daisies are a beautiful sight from September right the way through to the middle of November. Just the most fantastic plants. I've just got a selection of different forms here just to explain some of the different types and the breeding that has gone on. I'm Rosy Hardy, this is Rosy Hardy Gardening. If you enjoy my gardening videos, then please do subscribe, as this really does help my channel. Now, there are lots of different types of Michaelmas daisy out there. They used to be called aster, they are now Symphyotrichum. So there are two main types that a lot of people will know about, and that is the novi-belgii type, which I'm going to start with, and then I'm also going to go on to the novae-angliae, and then I'm going to look at other forms which are within this Symphyotrichum group. Let's start off with the novi-belgii types. They're always very easy to distinguish from others. They've always got quite a narrow dark green leaf which is smooth. They have a smooth stem as well, and then they are clump formers, and they tend to run around a little bit. They're quite expressive in making big clumps. Not all of them, but most of them are. This little beauty here is a beautiful single flowered form. This one is Neron. It is a burgundy purple type colour on this. They have yellow centres, which then, once they are pollinated, turn to being quite dull in the centre as well. Neron is one that is only about 50 centimetres, so just over a foot high by about a foot round. So this is a good front of border, bright colour. Very good for in containers as well, so autumn containers, they look fantastic. They all will cut and hold in water quite well, especially the novi-belgii types. Novi-belgii means New York aster, and they are from North America, and originally in the height of the breeding and producing of all of these plants, there were well over 1,000 cultivars available. Now it's more like 300 because they went out of fashion, or some of those were not as good as others. They like a relatively good soil which has got a reasonable amount of moisture there, and here in the UK they grow very well in east and north facing borders where they don't get too stressed. Now they can get a bit of mildew, and that will happen when the plants are under stress, so i.e. they've got really dry and got really hot, or that there is just not enough airflow around the plant. So that is something to be aware of. So if you get a very hot period sort of coming up to September time, give those a good drink and they will be happy. If the clumps are really close together and you know there's an awful lot of condensed growth there, thin it out a bit and then they will be quite happy. They also thrive on regular division, so when you lift a plant regularly every 2 to 3 years, make sure you're dividing them up. They do really well for that. That's something you need to be doing with the New York asters. So we've done this beautiful little low growing one, lovely big open flower on that form, and then this one, which is quite unusual, has got a much more open flower. It's a very delicate lilac form. This one is Algars Pride. Algars Pride will go up to around about 150 centimetres, so that is nearly 5 foot, so it's going to be sort of right up here, but it's a really good form, very open daisy form, and then it does produce a lot of growth, so it's going to spread and make a big clump. So this is for back of the border, middle of the border, really good form, Algars Pride. Now they can come in single flowers, or they can come in semi-double or double flowers, and that's the one thing to be aware of with these. There are double forms as well. This lovely one, which is a really good deep purple, this one is this one's Royal Velvet. So Royal Velvet is again going to make a tall plant, 1.20 meters is what you'd expect it to be, so you know it's going to go up and be really good, but it's a really good strong colour, has a good dark stem on it, so an excellent form as well. Then we get into the pink forms. This is a very old variety. This is one called Fellowship, and this is basically a really good double flower. You still get to see the center in there, but it's really got a huge amount of petals on it. And this one will get to about 1.20 meters as well. So they're all sort of middle of the border types and making big clumps. So that is a good form there. And then lastly, within this novi-belgii of the ones that I've got here, is this one called Vasterival. This one was bred in France, and it's a really super pinky lilac flower, good dark stem, holds itself up really well, 1.40 meters, and then it makes big clumps. It's really trying to get out of this pot. It makes really big clumps here at the base. So the one thing to remember with all of the novi-belgii types is regular splitting. Put them in a slightly moister soil and somewhere where they probably get a little bit of semi-shade. So that is those ones. Then we have the novae-angliae types, and the novae-angliae types, I've only got a couple of those here to talk about today. The novae-angliae differ from the novi-belgii in that these are the New England asters, and the New England asters are native to North America and Canada. They have a slightly woody base at the bottom here. They have hairy stems and hairy leaves, and they prefer a much more open, slightly drier aspect, sunnier aspect than their cousins do. So that's where they will go. They will tolerate drier soils once they are established, so you do need to get them established first. And because they're clumpers, you're getting a big base here, and then they'll grow up and make really good plants. The majority of all of these are quite tall, anywhere between 90 centimeters and 1.40 meters, but there's one exception to that, and that is Purple Dome, which is only 45 centimeters. So that one about 18 inches. All the rest of them are just about 3 foot to 4 foot high, so making good big clumps. They always have single flowers, so they will always look like a true daisy because they have got the center showing and then lots of petals. Now they can have numerous petals, but they are always single flowered on the novae-angliae types. I have never known a novae-angliae type, when it's grown in containers, to have a good bottom, and even when they are in the borders, you will always get this bottom leaf falling off. So do be aware. Put them somewhere in the middle of the border. They're really good middle of the border plants, hold themselves up really well, and they have a drought tolerance. So this one, which is the brighter pink at the front here, this is Alma Potschke, and this one here, which is a softer pink, is Rudelsburg, and there are lots of different forms of novae-angliae out there. It is a little bit more difficult from the point of view of dividing these because they are coming from a clump at the bottom, but you'll find once they get a little bit bigger, you can split them in the spring. Wait until the plants are a bit bigger. They don't need to be split as often as the novi-belgii types. We've had the novi-belgii types and we've had the novae-angliae types. Now let's have a look at the small flowered types, and there are quite a few different species within the small flowered types. So you get the cordifolium hybrids, and I've just got two here of the cordifolium hybrids, and this one is Cordifolium silver spray. Now the flowers are tiny on here, and you get masses of them all the way over. It's got a much more wiry type of stem. It's going to grow up and be really quite good. The cordifolium types are known as blue wood aster, and these have a much more rounded leaf at the base, so almost heart-shaped and rounded, and it goes up and has small leaflets all the way up these beautiful sprays of flower that are here. And this one is showing you a really good thing which you'll see on a lot of the different Michaelmas, and that is that you've got a mixture of bright yellow centered flowers, and then you've got a lot with this dark centre in here. Now I touched on it before, but the basics behind this is when they are bright and yellow like so, the flowers have not been pollinated. So there is lots of nectar there is lots of pollen to gather. Then the flowers, as they are pollinated, change colour and it becomes a dull colour. So not only to us, this looks lovely to us because it gives us a double colour, but what it does for the insects is it gives you that sort of beacon, i.e. the yellow ones, oh, go to here, I've got food. The paler ones, or the ones which are slightly more dull, not a lot there for you to go to, so don't waste your energy, go for the ones there. You know, nature is really clever with how it does all of this. So this is a beautiful form. They are, as a plant, they're going to get anywhere between 90 centimetres and 1 metre 20, so somewhere around about that 3 and 4 foot height, but really good, and they slowly make clumps, though they are divisible. So this one is silver spray, really tiny little flowers on that. And then this one here is called Little Carlow. There is nothing little about Little Carlow. It is named after the house and the plant nursery where it came from. This will go up to 4 feet, 1 metre 20, and it will make quite a big strength. So the flowers are slightly larger on here, but they're still beautiful sprays all over the top. And this is a much deeper, more lilac blue on this particular form. So that one is Little Carlow. Then we get the ericoides forms, and this is the only one that is prostrate. This ericoides is called Snow Flurry. Now, these are the heath asters, and they like free draining, full sun, somewhere like this. This one just grows out. Isn't it beautiful? You can have this hanging over the edge of a wall. It is a fantastic form, lovely, tiny little clear white flowers on this particular one. So they will tolerate quite a lot of dryness, so they're very, very good from that point of view. Anything from 10 centimetres high, which is what this one is, up to nearly a metre, depending on their growth. Really good forms. The ericoides always have tiny little narrow leaves, really looking like, you know, they almost look like a heath. You know, they really are something that is very similar to heathers and that sort of thing. So that one is fabulous. Then the other form of the small aster type is this one. And these are the laterifolious types, and this one is horizontale. So basically what happens is the growth goes out and then the branches go out like this, and then all the flowers sit on the top here. Isn't it beautiful? I've seen this grown as hedges. It looks fantastic as a hedge. This one's going to grow and make a really big clump. There are taller forms of this as well. They're also known as the calico aster, but they will produce flower right the way through till the late autumn. You know, you talk about end of November and these will still have flower on there. All of these, because they are late into flower, are brilliant for a lot of the later pollinators. This one can be divided. It will also tolerate a little bit of light shade. So light shade for this is just a little bit of overhanging, or maybe somewhere where it gets shade, say for the afternoon or the morning. So brilliant. All of these are what are known as the small flowered asters. Then lastly, we have the ones which there aren't very many within the group. So let's start off with Symphyotrichum laeve, and this one is Calliope. Now Calliope is a really good strong grower, really quite a tall form, lovely deep burgundy, almost black stems here, dark almost purple foliage to start off with, and then the flowers are these big lovely open daisies, and they're all held at the top of the stem, so you get clear stem all the way up, and then you get these sprays on the top of the actual stems. Now this will make a big clump, something around about 2 foot round, 60 centimetres at the base, and then height wise they're going to be up to 5 feet, 1 metre 50, so it's a really big strong form. They usually hold themselves up quite well. They are a form that if they flop a little bit, you give them a haircut, they will come back and flower, so they will be very good for like something that is done a Chelsea chop to keep them under control. But they are a really good form. They will tolerate a bit of shade shade, which is useful, and they are great as a cut flower. So that is Calliope. Then we have got another form which is going to be quite tall, and this is the turbinellum group. The turbinellum, this is true turbinellum here, and again it's something that's got long wiry stems where it's clear and there are no flowers there, and then you get a head of flower on the top, and these come on wiry long stems and the flowers are held at the end. So it means that you get quite a dispersed spray of flower on these, and they look really great. They've got foliage which makes a good clump at the bottom. It makes a decent sized clump. They will go up to about 1 meter 20, 1 meter 50, and at the base they will be up to 50, 60 centimetres, so just under 2 foot at the base as a clump, and nearly up to, well, over 4 foot as a height of flowers, but really strong stems, and tends to go out in a really good shape. So that is Symphyotrichum turbinellum. Now from turbinellum you then get one called turbinellum leaflet, and turbinellum leaflet has got much more wiry stems, and you get the flowers again held at the end, but you've got them all the way up. Very, very fine flowers on these, so it's a much more delicate looking flower on this particular form. With this very delicate looking form you get a really good wiry stems holding out, so it will hold itself up really nicely. The leaves are much smaller on turbinellum leaflet, and it is a cracking plant. It's still going to get to around about 1 meter 20, so 4 feet, but a lovely airy plant. These are all divisible, absolutely no problem at all. And then the last two, which aren't actually allied to any of the particular groups, although looking at the way they grow, I would say they probably have a little bit of turbinellum leaflet in them. This beautiful soft pink one with these airy, delicate flowers, this one is Jessica Jones. And then this one here, this lovely white one, which again is showing you that its centres go pink, and I think that's a really good thing on these ones, has a slightly limier green stem and narrow foliage again. This one is called Oktoberlicht. Now both of these are going to get again above 1 meter, and they will flower really late into the season. That just gives you fabulous colour, and they're really great. These are not going to make massive clumps, they're just going to be nice easy clumps, and they hold themselves up relatively well, so you're not going to have to stake them. So this is the beauty of having things that flower later in the season. They are very, very good for all of the pollinating insects. It means that there's something there for them to go and nectar on. They will collect the pollen as well, and that will give them their food stores for the winter. These plants are going to flower really late on in the season, which means that you've got beautiful colour in the garden. So enjoy the happy daisies of Michaelmas at the end of the season. Thank you very much for watching, and please do subscribe to the channel. If you want to watch another video of mine, YouTube thinks this one is perfect for you.